Hey, I'm Ray Parker. I played Darth Maul, the Phantom Menace, and Solo, a Star Wars story, and G.I. Joe, Snake Eyes, and you're listening to Disney Universe Podcast.
We would be honored if you would join us.
To infinity and beyond!
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of. But you have heard of me.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing. That it was all started by a mouse.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another fun episode of DUTV Star Wars Month. We are still in the month of May, still having some Star Wars fun.
Next year, we got to add a sound effect to that, where when you hit it, it comes with the John Williams. Bah!
Yeah,
Bah!
I got to do that better. We'll work on the.
No, it's not better. It's just improvement every year.
It is improvement.
With time.
But yeah, we have another fun show. I'm one of your hosts, Joey, and of course, I'm joined together again with my good friend and co-host, Alex. What's up, man?
Together again. Happy anniversary, Muppets.
Yes. And as of recording today, Revenge of the Sith official anniversary. So, yeah, there we go. And Ryan is not here. He's doing, as you heard, he had a little announcement last episode, so he's dealing with that kind of stuff. But we have an amazing guest today joining us. Some I've been wanting to have on the show for a while, and especially with the Star Wars month, we were doing anniversary shows. But I also love people that are involved in the Star Wars community and doing stuff for the Star Wars community. So, of course, we have Spencer, who I call King of the Memes. Great virtual Cantina, Ubuntu Eve, all that good stuff. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming in.
Guys, thank you so much for having me on here. And I know you and Joey and I have been trying to meet up and work out for me to come on the show or to do something with you guys for a while now. So glad that our schedules can meet up and we can, have some fun tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I mentioned, virtual Cantina is like these awesome events. Like you were even like in our neck of the woods last year leading up to D23 in San Francisco. I was trying to go. I just wasn't able to go. But we'll find out a little bit more about Virtual Cantina. I'm really excited to hear what you guys got going on and what you've been doing. Before we get to that, we like to do what we call a little bit of mousekeeping. So, of course, we couldn't do these special Star Wars Month shows on YouTube without some very special people, plus the audio podcast. So who are the special people, Alex?
Yeah, that's our crew, the DU crew that help us through the rebellion that is Pod Wars of the world. I don't know. It's friendly wars. We love you all, but we love that you love us, and we love the DU crew the most. We couldn't do it without him, and that is our Patreon crew. So shout out to Tyler, Alfredo. We got Wedge Antilles, Jacob, Florida Jen, Salah, MJ, 1995, and John. Did I not say John? John. We missed you. Saw all your pictures from ICCCon. They looked amazing. Can't wait to talk to you about that in the future. And all of the DU crew, those amazing people. If you want to be part of the best friends in the galaxy that make up the DU crew, go over to patreon.com/DU crew to find out about 2 great tiers to join. Very little money, very lots of love.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. And of course, if you're finding us on YouTube during these special Star Wars shows, or want to listen to the show audio versions that are just Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, everything in between, where can they find that at?
Yeah, obviously you're here on YouTube watching us, so shout out to you for seeing the visual version of this. But if you are here and haven't already followed us over on our audio podcast version, we are part of the Walt's Apartment Podcast Network. You can search Walt's Apartment Productions anywhere you get your podcasts. as well. If you want to go deep into the lore, deep into the archive of the Disney Universe podcast, don't forget to search Disney Universe podcast as well. All our podcast pasts, 2 years ago are going to be on there. This podcast's been going for a long time. A lot of lore, a lot of laughs, a lot of fun. So make sure you're following Walt's Apartment Productions and Disney Universe podcasts for the full saga of the Disney Universe podcast.
Awesome. Thank you. And just before we get to just our regular discussion and conversation, we are coming up to the end of Star Wars month, but you can celebrate all year round, like all three of us do here. So, but we've been teasing as of this show coming out who our final guest of the month will be. So we will be announcing that later on at the end of this episode. So you don't want to miss that. So, but we got an awesome guest right now. So Spencer, tell us a little bit about Virtual Cantina and all the stuff you do, which is super awesome.
So the Virtual Cantina in its current incarnation runs the world's largest Star Wars Celebration fan page with just over 97,000 members worldwide as of today, which, we're recording right now on the 19th of May. So we just crossed over 97 a couple of days ago, which is an incredible feat in itself, as running communities and anything of that nature. We are a community of Star Wars fans that try to keep the spirit of celebration alive 24/7, 365. There are a lot of celebration pages out there. They're all great in their own right, but they kind of die down when con ends, like a month after con is over.
Yeah.
And that we want to build a community around those people who love Star Wars, but going to Star Wars conventions all the way around. So, like, for example, we're at San Diego Comic-Con or LA Comic-Con or, Fan Expo Boston, Dallas Fan Expo, whatever show, that we can meet members of the group and keep the spirit alive. Because, if, like, Joey, you've been to Celebration in Anaheim, Celebration can be very daunting. And it's not like any other con you're going to go to anywhere else in the country. It's its own unique. You're not dealing with other properties at the same time. You're dealing with 100% Star Wars. And everybody has their own entry point in Star Wars. Your on-ramp could have been the OT, the prequels, the sequels, animation. We were talking about this the other day on our show, is that Mando Grogu is going to be an entry point for somebody into Star Wars. And it's amazing how at the end of the day, we can have so many different things that we may like or not like, and that's completely cool. But we all came into our love of Star Wars at a different point. And what we try to promote is inclusivity as well as just a general love of Star Wars overhaul. And one thing we try to do as well is that when you're going to Star Wars Celebration, it's very possible you might be going by yourself, or you might be going with your best friend who might like Star Wars, and cool, there's a Star Wars convention in the area, I want to go, or, travel to Japan or London or wherever we're going to be. But you're not going to know, like, the 75 to 150,000 members of the Star Wars community that are going to be at this convention. And we try to make the world a little bit smaller for you, that if you come to one of our events at a different con or our pre-con events, which we have 2 before Celebration, usually we didn't in Japan, but typically on the 2 nights before Celebration, we tend to do an event. That way, when you're online, you'll be like, oh, yeah, you sang a song at Bunta last night. Oh, yeah, we did a shot at the bar. Oh, we played Sabacc together. Oh, great. Can I jump in line with you? Like, it's community building. And also, you don't feel so alone in a universe that can be so crazy, but also give an opportunity for people to find their true selves, find their tribe, if you will, because Star Wars brings so many people together, and a lot of people connect because of Star Wars back to their inner child and have gone against society norms of saying to them, like, when we grew up, Star Wars, we love Star Wars, but it wasn't the cool thing. You might get your ass kicked if you talked about it on the playground. But now it's the Renaissance of the geek. So we're embracing that. So you can be, work on Wall Street or a lawyer or a construction worker, and you might have loved Star Wars, but now you could be your truest self and talk among geek fandom and be like, I found my people.
Yeah.
And I've seen that 100 times with members of our group trying to, finding who they are. And it's all because of Star Wars, which is great.
That's awesome because, like, I've been to the 2 Anaheim celebrations in Chicago, and each time I've gone on my own, but met up with like our mutual friends, Skywalker through Neverland, and everybody that's met through them. And I realized in Chicago, I think I ran into a few of you guys not knowing, who you guys were at the time. We're like, oh wait, yeah, I was at that quick little meetup by the bar outside the,
I remember that night very well in Chicago.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of it I don't remember.
Exactly. That's how you know it was a good time. But
yeah, absolutely.
No, I know what you're saying because I said this to one of our recent guests too, and I was like, yeah, I mean, you kind of go back, especially when the whole Disney and Star Wars thing. But you'd go to Disneyland and you'd see 1 or 2 people with a Star Wars shirt, and you'd be like, okay, yeah, you do the point. But now it's like everybody, which, at the same time, it's like, okay, I miss a little bit, but I'm glad we're at this point now. So
no, it's great. It's wonderful. I mean, I remember when Disney bought Star Wars, and I thought, I was like, okay, I didn't think Star Wars would get any bigger than it did. And then look at it now.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, you put on these events before throughout the year, but kind of like more attached to Celebration. And I was at the briefly the Bunta Eve before Anaheim, which was a great event. Actually, you talk about just geeking out. I had a conversation with Tate Donovan. He was in The Mandalorian, and he was over there and he was signing the Geeky Tiki mugs, and it's funny because I'm like, oh, I'm a big Geeky Tiki collector. I've had Brandon on the show multiple times, and we're going to have him on again. And he's like, oh yeah, I told him that I forget the name of his character that he played, but the mug that he did was the first piece of merchandise that his character was on.
Right.
And once Brandon knew that, they sent him a bunch of mugs and stuff to show up at these conventions. So, I mean, we're geeking out off just through the Tiki part of Star Wars. So, and then of course, like Sarah and Richard were releasing their books, and I mean, it was a great event. But what I know you kind of change them up, like when you guys were here during D23, you had different things around California, but they were all kind of different. So, like, how you want to kind of explain?
So, when you're talking about is we had what we call the family vacation, which was our second family vacation that we did, and we like to do the family vacations in between celebration years to keep like I said, the spirit alive and travel somewhere Star Warsy with a whole bunch of Star Wars geeks and have a long weekend or a weekend of geeking out. And in California, we went to the nines. Like, obviously, we were at San Diego Comic-Con. We had a meet up at San Diego Comic-Con, which I know Richard and Sarah, were at, and able to, come to. And then the next day, drove down to LA, set up, and then we start with a whole bunch of events. Like, for example, we had our first meetup, which was called the Heroes of the Filoniverse at Scum and Villainy, where we had 23 Star Wars actors signing for us at the bar.
Wow.
And we took over the bar for an entire day and night, which absolutely was fantastic. We love that. The next day, we went up to Anaheim, and we ran Big's Bar and Grill, where we ran Bunta Eve 22. We had about 15 actors there as well, including 3 Fets, which was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
We did a day at Disney, and then we took a bus up to San Francisco and had 8 ILM people signing for us at Islands 32 in San Francisco. And then the final day, we did the tour of the Disney Museum. And finally, we had our last family portrait in front of the Yoda fountain. So we try to have these events that are outside of Celebration, but really what it comes down to is that once we get to Celebration, it's a family reunion. That's how all we look at it. Like, I'll go there, and obviously I'll go and buy live autographs. I'll go to the panels. I'll do photo ops. But it's a family reunion for me. Like I would rather go and hang out with my friends than do anything else there. Everything else is secondary to me, you know? So we do these events around the country, around the world now. We just came back from Japan, where we sold out Japan on January 1st in 4 minutes, which was unheard of. And then we offered a hyperspace ticket, which basically meant that if someone is leaving, we were going to allow somebody to come in for half price from the outside. We had 100 people deep outside of the building trying to get in, that I had to get the bar owner to allow us to stay for an extra hour so I can get everybody who was outside into the hall.
Oh, wow.
Which is awesome. So, and we realized this after the fact, is that we sold out the United States, we sold out London in a day and a half, and we sold out Japan in 4 minutes. So the virtual Cantina, on pure name recognition alone, sold out 3 continents without announcing one name. And by the time people found out the names, people are fighting over tickets. And it's a testament to the work we're doing. And the work we're doing is all, volunteer. We all, don't make any money off of this. Everything we make goes back into the projects that we're doing. And we just got back from Japan. We're already planning for our event that we're actually working with Rebel Scum Con down in Frisco, Texas this August. And we have 13 actors that are not part of the con floor coming to our event after one of their shows. And they're bringing us in to go do that. So it's an experience, but it's also community building at the same time to show everybody that Star Wars fans can meet up anywhere, have a great night, and then all of a sudden, boom, we're back in celebration season. Yeah. And then you have another 150 to 500 new family members that you're walking into celebration around, giving each other hugs and high fives and catching up on. But you might have also run into them at X name con around the country, or, had dinner with them when you flew in for work, or family members or whatever. And that's really what Star Wars is. It's about community. It's about our love for whatever we like or don't like. I mean, there's, there people can like and dislike things as they are. It's completely cool. We're all adults. We can all agree to disagree, and we try to promote that. It's don't yuck someone else's yum. And we just try to allow us, because as you guys know, unless you're part of a community, being an adult, it's tough to make friends. It really is, because you're working, and then you're lucky if you have a hobby or able to go out and do stuff. And having something like, Disney, like the whole community guys that you guys are involved with, or Star Wars like we are, you find who your true self is, and you find out who you are always meant to be. And I can truly say that I'm like Cy Sperling in this. I'm not only the CSO of the Virtual Cantina, I'm also a client. It's changed my life, and I continue to do it because it changed my life. And I want to change other people's lives because of all the goodness.
Yeah.
Not the toxicity, the goodness that Star Wars can bring.
That's awesome, man. And I feel like I'm hogging the mics. I don't want to cut off Alex if you had anything to ask or was wondering.
No, I guess, I haven't been yet, but I'm always down to connect with the Star Wars universe around. Sounds like the road trip or family vacation last year. About how many people would you say did everything?
So I would say we probably had about 80 people who did everything, and then some people who stopped after Anaheim, and some people who just met up with us at various spots around the world. Around California.
Well, so you mentioned the San Francisco spot, it definitely makes it cool for, if someone can't get to Comic-Con in NorCal but wants to come and meet up, and vice versa. But it's also a cool aspect of the family vacation, because, a lot of times you go to these cons and things that are kind of like a summer camp and you're so sad to leave, but to extend it and go a little further with everybody.
It's funny you should say that, because when we did the event and we did SoCal, just like we finished our first family vacation, which was in Orlando, we ended with a private Saber meetup at Galaxy's Edge. Now, under the circumstances, that would have been the perfect ending point to the trip. Easily. But we had so funny stories is that we most of us went up to San Francisco. We had this, the Boonty Special Edition Masters of Star Wars Universe event. Next morning, our buses first took us over to the 3210 studios, where Hal Hickel met us outside and did a speech about the history of 3210. And obviously, we all know that 3210 has been closed for a number of years, but still, it's right there. As we're there, this gnarly old guy comes stumbling up, looking around like, what's going on? I'm looking at my partners. I'm like, dude, that's Lauren Peterson. Lauren was just driving down the street and saw a bunch of people with Star Wars shirts outside 3210 and stopped his car and walked over to the point where Hal stopped talking and said, ladies and gentlemen, Lauren Peterson. And everybody's like, Spencer, did you hook this up? I'm like, dude, no, like this is legendary. Like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
So we had that. And then obviously we were finished up with a photo op in front of the Yoda fountain with Hal Hickel and also ILM legend John Goodson. And they talked to us about the history of ILM, which was absolutely incredible. So that's how we ended the trip. So it could have ended in Southern California.
Yeah.
But San Francisco took it to the next level. We're already in plans for the trip for 2026, and it's going to be pretty good. I can tell you that it is going to be East Coast when we finally make the announcement for it. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're playing that. And we're also, obviously, we're very deep into planning Boonta Eve Episode 5, which will be on March 31st, 2027 in Los Angeles, California, as part of Star Wars Celebration.
Nice. That I'm excited because I wanted to go to the San Francisco one so much, because not only because that was closer to us here in Sacramento, but I'm a big behind the scenes person. So the fact that one's focused on the Hal Hickel and the people that did productions and puppeteering and behind the camera stuff, I was like, okay, this is the one I got to go to. Just, it wasn't in the cards, unfortunately, but it looked amazing. Right. I was keeping track of the posts and everything. But I was in LA the weekend before the Scum and Villainy one, which I was like,
Of course, it's always the timing thing. But the fact is that we're hoping to do more in the future of things that we're going to do for the fandom, as far as our family vacations or Boonta Eves. As I mentioned, we're about to go down to Texas for Rebel ScumCon and do an event down there. So we've made ourselves available that if there's conventions out there or organizations that want to have our level of shenanigans attached to them, we're available for hire. Like, we'll run events, we'll bring in talent, we'll do full nonstop, soup to nuts kind of event for you, and it will be fantastic. So we look at it as this as an enhancement. It's not just an after party; it's an entire experience. Any event you can go to can have karaoke, but where event can you have karaoke, sabacc, and actors doing meet and greets? Not many other places. We don't want to be our own con. We want to be an enhancement to your experience.
Nice. And it's like I say, it was. The time I was there was great. I'd like to hear more about Rebel ScumCon real quick, but we're doing little real life stuff here. So Courtney actually told me, I told her we're recording with you, so she told me to tell you hi. So
hello there.
So, but how'd you get involved with the Rebel ScumCon in Texas?
So first got started about 2 years ago, literally. I was on a flight to the West Coast to go visit my brother for my birthday. And I got a message on Facebook from the promoter of Rebel Scum and talking about how they were doing their first event and they wanted to bring me in and maybe have VCN involved in some capacity. And I was like, oh, cool. Let's keep talking. I'm on a plane right now, but, we'll talk. And we realized we had mutual friends. And timing just didn't work out when it came down to it. At the end of the day, we had months and months of conversations. Also, the fact that we were running the family vacation a couple weeks later with 75% of their lineup. So it really, it didn't really make sense for me to go down and do work or run an event down there with the same people that I'm going to run in California a couple weeks later. It would have been a lot. Anyway, fast forward past their event, year one. I met up with them actually at San Diego Comic-Con last year. And they came to our meetup and we had a good 45-minute conversation about business and my impressions of the con from outside, looking in. And we started looking at ways that we could do business together. And I would say it was just around Christmas time, I would say, that we finally got to put pen to paper and realize, what we could do. And they wanted to bring me in as a social media ambassador. I'm like, okay, cool. I run a Facebook page. There's plenty of other people who will be better than I am, but they wanted me for some reason. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. But I also talked to them. I was like, we want to do a Ubuntu Eve for you guys because I think, this is another avenue that we can go in and go and do it, for, people. And they have an incredible lineup. And we're talking about they got Katie Sackhoff. They got Emily Swallow. They got Simon Castavetes. They got Howie Weed, if you like behind the scenes type people, the Wampa. They got Roger Christians, the guy who designed the lightsaber. But they also have actors like, Andy Secombe. They got Stephen Constantino. Just a great lineup. Aidan Barton, the baby Luke and Leia from Revenge of the Sith, who's only done really one event, which was my event at Biggs. Also, Ross Beedman from England. Master Skywalker. There's too many of them. He's flying over for this event.
He's been Instagram famous a lot recently.
Yeah, absolutely. For his MMA stuff too. Yeah. So they had their great lineup, but we're bringing another lineup as well, which our lineup is headlined by Diana Lee Insanto, Anna Graves, and Taylor Gray.
Wow.
On top of the fact that we got other people like Omid Abtahi, Dr. Pershing, Nelson Lee, who plays Senator Ziono from Ahsoka. And we also got Kaz Ziono from Resistance, Christopher Sean, Ultraman, joining us as well with a whole other slew. So we got 13 actors and crew members coming to us to Texas for Bunta alone on top of their con. And we have a place it's called the Revel Bar and Grill that is 3 minutes away from the con that's going to do live band karaoke. Hyperspace Props is going to be running sabak for us all night. We're going to have a couple of vendors in the place as well, and then 13 people doing meet and greets on top of the con. So for $35 extra, after the Sackhoff show goes from 7 to 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, you can Uber down the street 3 minutes and come to a party till after midnight with more actors. You can't get better than that. And the thing is, like I said, we're not trying to be your after party. We're trying to enhance your experience. So, they say that, the party never ends. We're that party that doesn't end. Your con day starts early in the morning and goes until you go to sleep, whatever the time that is, whatever time we close down. That's
amazing. And for anybody, if they want to send me to Texas for my birthday, because that's when this convention is, August 8th. Is it 8th and 9th and 10th or just?
The con is August 8th, 9th, and 10th with Bunta Eve on the 8th. So, and we know that Richard and Sarah are going to be there. So if some people out there want to contribute to Joey's GoFundMe to go to Texas, I'm talking to you, Courtney. I'm looking directly into the camera right now, Courtney. Wait.
Here we go.
I'm talking to you, Courtney. Joey wants you to help him go to Texas for his birthday to hang out with Richard and Sarah. I'm saying Richard and Sarah, but really he means me.
Yeah, absolutely. I just spent last weekend with him, so
I know that, but you can never get enough Richard and Sarah.
You're not helping your case, Joe.
I know.
No, but seriously, it's going to be a great time. We're very much looking forward to that, and who knows where it's going to be. But like I said, we're already booked for Celebration 27, which when we found out it was going to be Los Angeles, I heard rumors that it was going to be several places. LA was one of them. And earlier that day on Sunday of Con, I shot a video on the floor just doing this. And going. And then as soon as they announced Los Angeles, 5 minutes later, it said 3/31/27, episode 5 coming soon. So I already started teasers the day Celebration ended. And we went out for dinner that night, and my team and I were already talking. By the time I got home, I was already in conversations with locations. I signed a contract 2 weeks later for our location. Now, I can tell you right now, our location, I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm going to tell you where it is. Boonta Eve episode 5 will emanate from the Sunset Strip.
Ooh, okay.
Nice.
And the place is historical.
Sounds
and
awesome.
That's how I'm leaving it. You have to hold on to that for a full year.
Nice. Yeah.
Sunset Strip, I don't think many places are big, too, so you better be ready to get your tickets early.
We got a 500 capacity. I'll put that out.
We've already seen it sell out in 4 minutes, so let's see if we can top that for the 50th anniversary of Star Wars, too.
And it's also great because we know so many actors and crew members that might not even be part of Celebration are called in, so they might come to us. And it's great. It's 20 minutes away from con, so you have a night away from con and then go get ready for next day, Thursday morning. We go for opening panel. So it's gonna be great, and really it's about having that experience of getting hyped.
Yeah.
You go to any con right there, and I look at Star Wars Celebration as your experience all the way around, from the moment you get there to the moment you leave the next day, or the day after the con ends. Party doesn't have to end, keep it going, get people hyped every moment of it, because that's what the experience is going to be. Some people will say, I waited 2.5 hours to see Hayden for 5 seconds, but man, I met so many people hanging out at the bar, the night before at the hotel, or I got to go and do this, or I got to go to Disney. I got to do this with a bunch of Star Wars fans. Something, they're like, something, the time and the effort and the money is worth it at that point.
Yeah. And we're a little bit like smaller, but I was telling you before recording that me and Alex do a Fresh Hops beer podcast. And so there's a local brewery kind of small in Anaheim that we did as a Rad Beer Co. So I'm like, and they're really cool, and they had a little patio, a decent sized patio. So once I wanted to do a Fresh Hops, not like I called it after party, but like you said, it was just a keep the party going kind of thing. And so we checked with them. They're like, yeah, cool. That sounds awesome. And, so we're going to have, a couple like games and stuff. Then we connected with our friend Kimberly, a craft beer pinup, and her husband at the time. He's since passed away, unfortunately, but and Generation Skywalker from England. And because they do a lot of bottle shares, and the brewery allowed, I checked with them if it was okay if we did a bottle share. They're like, yeah, cool. As long if they want to buy beer too, we're like, perfect. So, and for us, this was big, but there's like 80 people there and had a great time, had a chug off, or what Alex coined the light speed chug off.
That's fantastic. But that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Like our first event that we did in 2017 as part of Orlando's celebration only had about 80 to 100 people, because we were competing with the overnight line for the 40th anniversary panel.
Oh, yeah.
So it starts with 80 people, literally, and that just seems to be the right place, right time, and it just can build upon there. You're talking about Kimberly. I know Kimberly ran a pub crawl throughout Japan, which was absolutely fantastic. It's about the community building, and there's something for loving Star Wars with everybody and everything, and there's a place for it and all that. I mean, like what I said, everybody has an entry point.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we all love Star Wars, and that's the most important thing. We need to not lose sight of the fact that at the end of the day, we just love Star Wars. It doesn't matter where you came in, whether you love the prequels, you hate the prequels, you love the sequels, hate the sequels. But at the end of the day, you love Star Wars. It's our voices are louder than the Phantom Menace, and there's good, and that's what we try to promote within ECN. That there's a community of good within Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alex knows that, but once they announced LA, I'm like, my wheels already started turning for the 2027. So we're working on something. So
fantastic.
But obviously not we're going to be at your event for sure. So, and hanging out throughout the week. So
fantastic.
But more on that. But before let's talk about just fandom and just awesome Star Wars, we just nerd out about Andor. But I just want to know, because I was curious since I wasn't able to go and we only watched it online. But how was your experience at Celebration Japan?
So my celebration in Japan was incredible. I can't say enough good things about my experience over in Japan overall. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when I'm going back. I'll say that right now. There was just not enough time. The people were incredibly friendly. The food was phenomenal. The culture was amazing. And just to experience celebration, I mean, that was the reason why I went. You know, obviously, I actually been to Asia a number of times. My family lived over there for a while, but I never visited Japan. So this was my opportunity. I thought maybe the one time in my life I'm ever going to go to Japan. And it's for celebration. And celebration itself is like, listen, you find a million and one things to complain about. And that's going to be anything you go to. Mm-hmm. However, celebration is always what you make of it. If you want to have a miserable time, you can allow yourself to have a miserable time. But the fact is that if you surround yourself with events and ideas and things that you want to do, you're never going to have a bad celebration, because at the end of the day, you're doing something that you want to do. You know, yeah, there was issues with Hayden signing. They canceled half the signing people. And, but if you allow that stuff to get to you, you have to think about, why did you go in the first place? I mean, I look at it as that, to me, it was like, I get to go to Japan with my friends. That's really what it came down to for me. So for me, it was a success, not just our event. Celebration was a success all the way around for me, because I got to go experience Japan with my friends and go around and go to Disney Seas and go to Tokyo Disneyland and then go do an event in Japan, which was unheard of, and then go celebration in Japan, like to see the culture and go see the cosplay and the love for Star Wars all around the city. It was incredible. I can't say enough good things about it. Were there things I would change? Yeah. But the fact is that those would just be being nitpicky, because at the end of the day, I had an incredible time. I absolutely loved it.
Is that your shirt from
Yeah, this is our staff shirt from the Not So Virtual Cantina Special Edition. I figured for tonight I'd wear the shirt that we had for Japan.
I can get a little zoom in on there. Nice. Very cool.
Thank you. So, celebration, like I said, celebration is what you make of it. And also, celebration is also the kind of thing that once you go once, you get the bug. And if you have the opportunity to go to another one, whether it be around a different country or not, you will find a way to go.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the way it was for London. That was the way for Japan. Obviously, LA is going to be a lot easier for a lot of us. But the fact is that if it wasn't for the fact that I love going to celebration and going with my friends, I might not consider going abroad.
Yeah.
Twice in a row. But like I said, it's community. I, with everything that I am, owe who I am today to the Virtual Cantina Network and to our members, because quite honestly, they've given me a life that I could have never, ever, ever repay them for, just because of the love and the support that I get from the membership.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And one of the really cool, exciting things about Celebration was so close to the release of Andor Season 2. I know Alex has been really wanting to sink his teeth into this. I know we love the season, so I just, we're going to nerd out here for the last couple minutes here. So it's all yours, sir.
Yeah. No. I was going to say before we wrap there, I just wanted to make sure everyone's clear. In between celebrations and events, this is like a Facebook community as well, where people can join.
Yeah. So if you go to look for Star Wars Celebration Los Angeles 2027, now there's many groups that have that name in there, which is obviously a good marketing name because people are looking for that. Look for the one that's over 90,000, close to 97,000 members. That's us. Or just go to virtualcantinanetwork.com. We have a link in the links section directly to all of our socials, including, whatever subgroups that we run, but it goes obviously to our main Facebook page, which is our bread and butter, is the Celebration fan page.
Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes as well and share it on our socials as
Appreciate
well.
It. But Andor, so I was in the room for when they released the first episode. So I was there, and you were cheering like the entire time. That first episode was like you were brought back into that world in the first scene of seeing Andor again, which is absolutely incredible. Man, did they stick that landing?
Oh, the whole thing. So many people were saying, after Celebration, I guess the press got to see the whole season, and they were saying, no bullshit. This is the best season of Star Wars ever, of anything for sure, and some of the best Star Wars storytelling over the top.
Oh, absolutely. Like, here's the thing is that Tony Gilroy didn't make a good Star Wars story. He made a good story, period, and it just happened to be in a galaxy far, far away. I love season 1. Like, I'm an artsy type of guy. I have a theater background, so I love the slow burn, more character study, gain to build towards it. That's not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah,
it's fine. Some people complain that season 1 didn't have enough pew pew in it. Hey, you started off with a lot of pew pew in season 2. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I did.
Bullshit. Like, seriously. You look at Rogue One and you look at A New Hope in a completely different light after season 2 of Andor. It's a completely different story. You see the plight that they go through, and it's pretty gnarly. And the characterization, everybody lost and gained out of the whole, everything that happened. Man, like, for those who say that Star Wars can't be dirty and gritty, you didn't get the point of Andor. We've been saying for years that we need an adult Star Wars that spoke to the OT generation that wanted something more mature to go along with our childhood fluff that we get in the original trilogy and from there. And boy, did they get this in spades. This year, honestly, I thought was very good as far as Star Wars content was concerned because, Skeleton Crew spoke directly to the kids of the 80s with the Amblin type of storyline adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Tales of the Underworld was incredible. I mean, the whole Tales series is incredible. But Andor season 2, man, Mandalorian Grogu's got some strong shoes to fill, and whatever comes in the future, man, Andor season 2 was next level. I mean, I would say for 1 and 2 seasons, they did a bang up job. They literally did a bang up job of what this was.
And I agree because I also do like a Mandalorian show podcast, and we break down all the Star Wars shows. But I was the only one that liked the first season as it came. The others sense to respect it after the rewatch, and they're like, "It is a good movie." I'm like, "Yeah, it is," or a show, but a little bit of slow burn. But man, the way, and we all knew that each episode was going to be an arc, the three story arc in a year. So the way they did that, I thought was brilliant. And at times I'm like, I almost wish it was called something different other than Andor, but still leading in, just because like the whole Mon Mothma, that whole storyline before they even like met. I mean, we always talk about the dance off, but I mean, just Genevieve O'Reilly should be nominated for an Emmy for this season, especially.
I would agree with you there, but something that's so still in Stargard and from season 1. So, is Star Wars ever going to be nominated for an Emmy in acting? Probably never, ever. And it goes.
This is their best shot yet, though. This is their best shot yet.
But here's the thing: is that JJ actually did a write up when he first saw a viewing of Last Jedi before it came out. And JJ actually said this on Twitter, is that Mark Hamill actually deserves an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor for what he pulled off in Last Jedi. And I'm not going to dispute that. It's the fact that, honestly, this was Mark Hamill actually acting, and not many other properties have you seen Mark Hamill act, actually break out his acting chops as opposed to
Sacred Jedi texts. The sacred Jedi text.
But the thing was that it was a stretch. But the thing was, it was another layer of Luke Skywalker, because let's just face it. I mean, I'm going to go up on my soapbox a little bit, is that nobody in any capacity can be, a goody two shoes, positive outlook, especially when you had your aunt and uncle basically got incinerated and you didn't have time to mourn. You were on a flight to Alderaan a couple of seconds later. a couple hours later, your mentor who brought you on this goddamn journey is sliced down by Darth Vader. You find out it's your father, and then later on you find out Leia's your sister. I mean, this guy has not had an opportunity to process anything, and then he almost kills his nephew in a fit of rage. So it's kind of like, okay, I want to see the downfall of the hero to build him back up again. And I personally don't think that you could have gotten that ending of Last Jedi where the self-sacrifice ended up being the most Jedi thing he could have ever done.
I agree.
So you really saw an arc of Luke, and you got to see Hamill like portray all these different elements of it. And that's the same thing as that, with the Andor, you got to see these other characters that are literally great writing, great acting, the emotion behind it. And honestly, I don't want just the fluff of Star Wars. I want to care about these characters. Like, I literally want to know what makes them tick, because why should I care that Kylo Ren is Ben Solo? Why should I care, about Finn? Why should I care about Rey? Why should I care about Poe? Why should I care about Mon Mothma, who's a leader of the rebellion in Return of the Jedi that could have been a throwaway character that turned out to be, one of the people that changed the entire galaxy?
Yeah.
It's what I love. And as an adult, loving Star Wars as much as I do, getting to see the enrichment that we're getting, we're eating well, kids. Like, seriously, we had lived through the dark time of 16 years with no live action Star Wars. We're never going to have to worry about that ever again. About that for it.
I'll be a gift or curse, but I think everybody here is of the school of thought that any new Star Wars is good Star Wars. We appreciate the feedings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, we might not like every piece of it, and that's okay. That's okay.
You don't have to love it because it's not all for you.
Right. But that's exactly
it. For the community, it's for everybody.
It's for everybody. Star Wars is for everybody. But let's look at this as a global picture right now. The original movie Star Wars was written as a result and an answer to the Vietnam War, directed at 12-year-old kids. So if we're looking at a kid's property and Star Wars is at its best, if you say, is for kids, and we're in our 30s, 40s, and 50s right now arguing about Star Wars, which is traditionally a 12-year-old's property, come on. We gotta get over ourselves and realize this is fun.
Yeah.
Star Wars is fun. We're losing sight of that. The fact that our childhood was fun. We played with the Kenner toys. We played with the Power of the Force. We played Battlefront 2. We played Pod Racer on the N64. We read the original Zahn books back in 96. Star Wars is fun, and that's why with us in the Virtual Cantina Network is trying to keep that spirit going, that, something, it's okay to not like. Don't yuck someone else's yum, because they might not like something you like.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, let's just enjoy it. Let's celebrate what is good in this world. And what's good in this world, at the heart of it, is Star Wars. Like, literally.
And Andor. Andor is very,
Andor
very
specifically. Good. Holy shit. Yeah. Like, seriously, bro. Like,
Andor
is actually...
You were talking earlier about entry points. Andor is going to be an entry point for someone to Star Wars. And to them, I say, as far as stories go, I'm sorry, because you're starting at one of the, if not highest points that goes, because you said, Tony Gilroy, he laid it down with the storytelling, the writing, building characters that we care about.
Mothma
was a character that I don't think anybody cared about until she had this background built beyond her. And there's been good discussion, argument, whatever you want to say, but spirited, about the hierarchy of Star Wars characters and where Cassian Andor falls in top Star Wars characters. And obviously you can split it all different ways for, humans, droids, Force users, villains, whatever. But I'm just saying, overall, Star Wars characters with their importance to the story of Star Wars as we know it. Cassian Andor with this series, I mean, to me, he's top 10. I know there's probably at least a good 6, 7 before him, but
there's an argument for that. Absolutely. There's an argument to that, but the thing is that they gave you an opportunity to have enrichment to the storylines. I mean, if you look at like the arc of Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, it really took him 6 movies to get a flushed out story of Darth Vader. Honestly, if you look at it, you had the full childhood to death storyline from there. And obviously we get little clips here and there, like for example, Ahsoka, and all that, and, Clone Wars and everything. But really, let's talk about 6 movies from there. The sequel generation, I look at is that's really where Kylo Ren's character had the best arc out of all the characters in the sequel. You saw a flawed villain who's fighting with the light as opposed to fighting with the dark side, and then comes back, for redemption at the end. Because Star Wars is always about redemption arcs. We all know that. It's like the Oprah. You get a redemption, and you get a redemption, and you get a redemption. And when you get able to tell more stories, I mean, let's face it, Rogue One came out of John Knoll's pitch about the crawl from A New Hope.
Yeah.
So right from there. And then you want to know why Andor's been in this fight since he's been 6 years old. Well, you just saw it.
Yeah, no, it definitely gives a lot of good context to things we've seen from Rogue One, from A New Hope. I see a lot of people kind of laughing about the throne room scene and how, these 2 numbskulls kind of lucked their way into something all because of this fight that Andor did his whole life. The sunrise he would never see, as Luthen put it in one of his, a few at least, very good monologues from this show. It was doing so much. Joe, for you, watching this season of Andor, the show overall put together with Rogue One, where does that stand for you? I know you mentioned at the beginning talking about how it did the 3-episode batches. I thought that was almost like we were getting a new movie every week. And when you and Ryan were talking about catching up, I was like, catch up? It's new Star Wars. Just watch it. We'll never have the opportunity to see a new movie of Star Wars 4 weeks in a row ever again. That's never going to happen.
I didn't need to catch up at all.
I know you wouldn't. There's one of us who's not here. He's still working on it. He's got a reason. He's at an appointment, but still. And I heard that from a lot of people.
No excuse. Come on, it's Star Wars, bro.
We're all in it at different levels, for sure.
I was saying, especially the third arc. You put that on the big screen, it's a top 5 Star Wars movie, hands down.
I still think, and I'm gonna probably piss some people off for this. I would say, honestly, I think some of the best Star Wars period is actually the Siege of Mandalore arc from Clone Wars season 7. Those last 4 episodes.
I love that. Yeah.
Like, that's perfection. Like, to the point that it showed it as a entirety at Celebration Japan. Like, you could have gone there and sat there for an hour and a half and watched all 4 on a big screen with 5,000 people. Like, that's but Andor is up there. Like, as far as animation, those 4 episodes and the entire series of Rebels is next level. Andor, like you said, for now is peak level Star Wars.
And I loved how, especially that third arc, it runs parallel with Rebels. I love Rebels. So the fact that, the speech she gave in the Senate is the same speech, updated for the live action, but the same speech that Ezra saw.
Well, actually, no. Because if you remember this, is that they announced that the Gold Squadron was going to pick up Mon Mothma and she was going to make another speech to denounce the Senate.
Yeah.
That speech is in Rebels Season 3, Episode 18.
Yeah, the one in the Ghost. Yeah.
When they're in the Ghost. So that is actually after she leaves. When Andor drops her off to go to Yavin, that's the Rebels episode. So that links in directly, because I didn't realize this well. I went back and watched it afterwards. They talk about the Gorman Massacre in Rebels.
Yeah. And Ezra sees a clip of that. I thought he saw a clip of that speech that she did in the Senate before she does it on the Ghost.
It's a completely different speech entirely. because she denounces the Senate and steps down in Rebels.
And that's when they all come out of light speed, we're there. Yeah.
So that's really where all but the thing is that they're paying attention. They linked up the little details and nuances that you don't have to watch. I mean, if you watch animation, it's supposed to flow seamlessly through the live action. And that's why, Ahsoka's Rebels season 5, let's call it that. There's a different medium of how they did it. And you saw live action in Ahsoka, the epilogue of Rebels, the last scene. You got to see that in live action, when they went to go off to find Ezra.
Yeah.
So Filoni knows what he's doing. Like, you might say, oh yeah, but it was over in England with Tony. Filoni was involved in this storyline. He's the content chief officer, he knows what's going around.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And we are thankful for it.
Well, the Padawan becomes the learner and becomes the master.
Well, and maybe we just add more people to our Jedi Council of masters who are providing us with the storytelling and content that's going to keep us going and never having to worry about going 16 years without Star Wars again.
It's never going to happen again because whether we like it or not, wherever we go, there's Star Wars. Whether it's content or we're going out to Disney. I mean, some of us might go down there and just spend the entire day at Galaxy's Edge, and there's only 2 rides. Let's just face it, But we might not leave, and a bar, but you might not leave that portion for 11 hours because you just love watching people bound and do their thing, and you feel like you're home again.
Yeah, I love being, because you do get that feeling regardless of what the storyline is. You do feel like you're in Star Wars at any of the Galaxy's Edge you're at. It just feels like it, and that's amazing. And like another thing on Andor, like especially this season, favorite moments or favorite things about the season.
Cyril getting capped.
Yeah,
I cheered. I absolutely cheered because it was like Andor's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, he's like, "Wait, I wasted my life chasing you, and you have no idea." It's almost like Scarlet Witch. You took everything from me. But I don't know who you are. In that moment, he's lowering his gun. He's like, "I wasted my life, and you don't even know who I am." And bam,
cap.
I actually screamed, "Peace, fucker!" I was like, "Good, you deserve it." For everything you did, you snarling little weasel. You got your comeuppance. You got played by the Empire to get a piece of ass.
Yeah.
And you got capped because they were all using you because you're too nice of a guy. Incredible. And the fact of the matter is that, that whole scene with Deidre and Craig, because I was waiting for that moment with the two of them, and he put the finger on her head, and next thing you know, she's in Narkina 5, and I'm like, "Oh, you got yours. You got yours. I'm programmed, bitch." Like, that's exactly what I was thinking, like, the entire time. I was like, this is incredible. Like, the storylines and how they actually came apart and seeing who was where and what people got out of the different stories. And, obviously seeing Saw Gerrera and, having that argument with Mon Mothma. There's so many really good moments of this season. And obviously, seeing Deidre like unravel.
Yeah.
From what she was at the beginning of season 1 and then almost getting trampled in Ferrix to where she ended up. It was like, wow, how the mighty have fallen,
Yeah, absolutely. And good memes came out of that moment too from you too. So I always got to throw that out. The king of memes.
The whole thing behind that is that a lot of people like to use social media as a soapbox to talk about politics. And I'm like, something? I'd rather just make people laugh. So I just put incessant amount of memes on my page just to make people laugh. And that's really all it is because I don't want if I mention one thing about politics, 20 people who think against me are going to come and bash me for my own opinion. And why am I going to put myself through that nonsense when honestly I use social media to have fun and connect with friends? Yeah. So I'd rather make people laugh in the process on my own personal page than to make it a political statement. Because there's no politics in Star Wars.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
And it's usually the people that, never speak up or on any post until it's something they don't like. So.
Oh yeah, but that's a fact, and I love the people who are saying, "Well, you're just saying that you agree with Andor because of the current political climate here in the United States." And I'm like, life imitates art, and art imitates life. And if you're finding a parallel between the two, maybe there's something to that, unintentionally, but intentionally at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really how it is. But you can pinpoint that to any side. It doesn't have to be a Republican, Democrat, Independent. You could find a good story in anything, and then someone's going to say, "You're just saying that because you're X, Y, and Z." Why do we have to paintbrush it with anything like there? Yeah. Why can't we just enjoy a story for the sake of a story?
Just share a meme of Krennic poking her on the head, saying, "When your roots start to show," or something.
Yeah.
Which is a great one. What about you, Alex? Favorite moment?
That moment when he put his, as we've come to learn, was improvised. Star Wars posted some videos of a few of the cast on their last day on the set, and Dej Romero's Denise Go was talking about it. He just brought so much gravitas with Krennic, and again, taking another character who he killed it with in Rogue One, but just giving him a little bit more flashy backstory. You could see him be more braggadocious with the place he was, in the Empire and building the Death Star, and kind of before the chinks in his armor started to show and he started to have problems and lose it in Rogue One. But it was really cool seeing him interrogate her in that room. In his first scene, in the first arc, when they're up in what looked like the Alps having that secret meeting and everything, there were just so many good ones. I say Clea. She is, MVP for being somebody who was just kind of slinking around the background in season 1. She has a couple, good dialogue spots, but I don't think anybody would have thought of her as top cast. And, she really being the one who kind of got the message across and got us to the point where Andor could get the information with Jyn and do what they did on Scarif that even got us out of the opening crawl of A New Hope, and she killed it with her role. Come to find out, this was her first acting gig she ever landed. She was
crazy.
Fresh out of acting classes. But yeah, so many cool. One of my favorite things in the last arc was that flashback episode with her and Luthen, and seeing how they came to be, and the bombing on Naboo. I was like, that's Naboo. That was so cool to see. Just that little Easter egg, and him mention of it being the home planet of the Emperor and everything. But yeah, so many good lines, so many good moments. The episode in the penultimate arc where they were trying to steal the wire out of the piece of art at the party with Clea and
Lonnie.
Poor guy. He served his purpose, but there were so many good suspenseful moments in the show. I just felt like I was sitting on the edge of my seat. What was going to happen? The massacre at Gorman, you mentioned with Cyril Karnzen. I was kind of rooting for him to have a face turn and end up being some helpful guy in the Resistance or something. I thought Dedra was going to get shot in the head that day, but she had to be the one to pull the trigger. So many great episodes, such a great show. I'm so thankful that we got it in large chunks. I'm trying to think of another property that could do something, like if Marvel chose to put something out in the way that timeline wise, each gap was a year. It just worked out so well. and it occupied my Tuesday nights so well.
No, exactly. But the thing is I think what was very interesting about what we're getting with Star Wars and the content we're getting with Star Wars, we're also getting some Star Wars that, I can't even say with the original trilogy or even in the prequels, have I ever jumped out of my seat like, wait, what? That I have in the last 2 years. I was talking to Manny Jacinto in Japan about when The Stranger went completely ham and shish kebab Jedis and Swiss cheese Jackie. I'm like I literally jumped. I'm like, this is Star Wars? Like,
Yeah.
What? Like
that was you wanted lightsabers. Here's your stinking lightsabers, moment.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like, oh my god! Like I was watching if there was anything about Acolyte I like, and I liked Acolyte, but if there's anything I can remember for Acolyte, it was that one scene that he just completely destroyed an entire like Jedi temple, like worse than Anakin ever could. And I was like, oh my freaking god! And then what we just saw in Andor, I'm just like, this is Star Wars? Like, oh my god, this is good. Like, there's some really good deep nuggets that we're getting. Like you said, we're being fed very well.
Oh yeah,
whether you realize or not, we're eating good.
It was the weekend of May the 4th, and I was Saturday morning I was supposed to do some video editing on one of the episodes, and I kind of they're doing the 24-hour Star Wars on Disney Plus. I want to see what's on, and I was like, it was the last like 10 minutes of the chapter 4 of the Acolyte, then going into chapter 5. I'm like, editing's gonna have to wait. I gotta watch the Stranger fight.
Yeah,
but
and honestly, and then one thing I actually got him. I gave him one of our virtual Cantina T-shirts because we actually have a World Cloud of the Stranger's T-shirt helmet T-shirt, and I had to put it on a picture of him with the two sabers. And I just had him write the one word to me that summarizes Star Wars to a T: semantics. I'm like, dude, you just summarized like 50 years worth of stuff in one word. Like, that's incredible.
That's awesome. And love seeing him on the live stage, that's all we could see on this side of the country during the time. But Alex, you actually took a few of mine. Clea turning into an MVP was something I did not see coming. So, and then finding out about just the actresses, I forget her name right now, but
Elizabeth. Yeah.
Thank you. Because we had we have our little DU chat. We're like, oh, new crush, throughout the season.
Oh yeah, like
and that was before the arc at the end.
Well, people were shipping, Deidre Mero for a long time, but I'm sorry, Clea. That's my girl.
But I loved that, and this gave us a scary as hell Empire. It was really cool to see that.
We need to see that element. Like Rogue One, we saw Alpha badass Vader in that last 10 seconds. I mean, all of us were like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like the theater hitting our friend next to us. And this Andor, see the Empire, as scary as it was, is in the same vein of that. It's like, wow, these guys were assholes,
Absolutely. And so I love seeing that throughout the entire season. And usually in Star Wars, we see nods of like, oh, this is a nod from the original trilogy or nod from the prequel trilogy. But instead of that, we actually saw the connection on it wasn't a nod, but it was like, this is where we're going. The whole Yavin stuff, the whole, just the characters and everything. So it to me, it was more than a nod. It was just like a destination. And of course, every time Mon Mothma was on screen, especially with the summer hit of the year, Niamos, the dance off, which I mean, you saw her. I mean, people like it made no sense for the people that didn't really understand, but they're like, why was she just like having a ball dancing? I'm like, because she just let it go. I mean,
she got drunk. She sold out her daughter.
Yeah,
she's about to have her best friend killed.
Childhood friend, just
trying to keep the resistance standing, the rebellion, in the shadows of her government job
the entire time. The lady was about to lose everything.
She's a string away from being arrested or killed, and a tray of drinks was being passed while a slapper was on the radio.
Yeah,
it was time to let her hair down.
And of course, the John Wick escape with Cassian was just perfection. I thought it was so good.
Oh, it was incredible. It was very, very well done. I'm very happy that I'm happy we got this content. Like Alex, you were saying, is like, so what? We got content. Like
my friends are like. My friends I do the other podcast with, they're like, as good as it was, I hated it because we only got a little bit of K2SO. I'm like, I love K2SO. I love Alan Tudyk, but this is peak Star Wars. And
we got K2SO using Hurt as a shield.
Exactly.
That was incredible.
That was badass. I want that on a T-shirt that says, "This is Disney Star Wars."
Oh, so I put a meme on my page today that actually it said Gungan shield, which was the laser shield,
Yeah,
Mandalorian shield, which was the discus, and it's a K2 shield, and it was the guy.
yeah, I saw that. That was
Did
great.
you notice the Gungan skull in the
I absolutely saw that. I said
that's crazy.
Revan's
all those Plo Koon
symbol was embedded on the nose of that.
Yes, Revan symbol. It became a thing week to week to see what new thing you could see in Luthen's shop. That was really
loved it. It was a EU cornucopia of like Easter eggs. It was absolutely incredible. Just like we can talk for hours about this.
Yeah, we can. Yeah,
literally, Star Wars is great. Like, I don't care if it's good or bad. Star Wars is great, and the fact that we're eating so well, we keep on going back to that. We should just be grateful that we actually have stuff to talk about.
No, absolutely, and fondly too. So, like you said, we could talk about this for hours. We could talk about Andor for hours, and just the community. But I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you're on the East Coast, so it's getting a little later for you there. So. Yeah. But I do want to thank you for coming on. I've been, like I said, I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time. We've met through skywalking, so part of that community and everything. So definitely looking forward to what's coming up in the next couple of years with Virtual Cantina, and hopefully I can make it to Texas. I might be moving around that time, so unfortunately I might not be able to, but.
Well, you never know. You might need a break for a couple of days, and you
possibly. So, but I know who to contact.
Courtney.
Yeah, exactly. You. But before we let you go, you guys do these great events, but you also have a fun YouTube channel where you guys are just bantering basically and have topics that you kind of want to.
Yeah. So we the main, we have our own network of podcasting. The Virtual Cantina Network is actually a network in itself where we have 5 to 6 podcasts a week up on our YouTube page. But we also cross-brand it, through other social medias as well. Everything from the philosophy of Star Wars in a show called The Unifying Force to the Jedi Archives, which is a High Republic comic book review show. We have our watch along on Thursdays where we'll watch a property and give live commentary, and sometimes actually have actors from those properties come on and give us commentary. Like we had Brendan Wayne, like you and I were talking about, come on and talk about Mandalorian and a couple of his favorite episodes, and Emily Swallow and all that. And this week, we're actually going to be watching Rogue One because the last couple of weeks we've been watching Andor, and we have Marty Matulis, who was Vane the Pirate in season 3 of Mandalorian and Skeleton Crew, who actually sat with us at the first episode of Andor in Japan. Marty was with us.
Nice.
We're bringing him in to come and actually watch Rogue One with us after watching Andor for the last 4 weeks. So, and then, we have a Clone Wars Revisited where we do a watch along of Clone Wars, and a show called The Daughters of the Galaxy, which is a female-centric Star Wars show talking about Star Wars from the female perspective. And then a general pop culture show called the Nerf Herder Council. But you can find us at youtube.com/@Virtual Cantina Network. But also, if you go to virtualcantinanetwork.com and go to links, you can see everything that we're doing, all of our different groups, events we're doing, hire us, links to the Facebook pages, a little bit of history about the group, members of our Virtual Cantina Hall of Fame, which we inducted Katie O'Brien and Marty Matulis in Japan at our event. Nice. So, very excited, but very excited to be, trying to be a positive force, if you will, in this fandom, which could be so divisive and diversive in that capacity that, we're going to hit 100,000, and keep an eye out on the page because we're going to do giveaways at 98,000, 99,000, and 100,000 members. And there's some really good ones that I know Joey's going to want, and maybe even Alex as well. But I'm telling you right now, we got some good ones to celebrate our milestone of being close to 100,000 members worldwide.
Nice. I'm just trying to share something right now, but my computer's going a little slow. So here we go. But here's a link, or here's a Facebook page if you're looking.
There you go.
And of course, the sign up, join, bring your friends, all that good stuff. And we'll put the show the show notes too. Where to find. And of course, I got it since we just recently talked about it. The king of memes. Here's the Gungan shield mandolin and the K2S shield. Plaza. I'll go K2SO shield any day. I mean, the Gungan one's pretty nice, but you know,
it kind of reminded me of Quicksilver from Age of Ultron.
Yeah. Was that fast? Well, very cool. Well, Spencer, glad finally was able to talk to you. Thank you for coming on for our Star Wars month. We celebrate all year long, but we definitely go out and celebrate in the month of May, which we are almost done with. And so before we go, like I said, we have recorded our final episode of the month, and we are joined. You guys are not going to want to miss this. We are joined by Space Mom herself, General Harrison Dula, Vanessa Marshall. It's such a fun recording, and I know, Spencer, you've interacted and had conversations with her too. So she's such an amazing person.
She's absolutely the best, and she loves our fandom.
Yeah, she's definitely one of us. So I'm looking for you guys. Looking forward to you guys seeing that. I hope you enjoyed. I know you enjoyed this conversation with Spencer. We got to do it again before Celebration Los Angeles. So
let's do it.
Yeah. So thank you for coming on, and we would love to shout out our good friends one more time.
Well, don't forget as well. We've put it on our Instagram, but we are looking for you. This will be your last chance to jump in on our finale of the Star Wars Month episodes. Please send us your Star Wars pictures, pictures of you enjoying Star Wars at home, cosplaying, out at the Disney parks, whatever, just you enjoying your Star Wars fandom. Send that to us through Disney Universe on Instagram, Facebook. We have an email, right?
Yeah.
I think he put it in the post. He's pulling the post up. There it is. DisneyUniversePod@gmail.com. Would love to see everybody enjoying the Star Wars fandom as part of the finale. You can say you were on an episode with Vanessa Marshall. So get those into us. If you're seeing this, hopefully soon, it's not too late. And be on the lookout for that episode before the end of the month. Hopefully all the DU crew is listening, because you are the best part of our rebellion. Shout out to Tyler, John Z, Wedge Antilles, Jacob. We got Salah, MJ, 1995, Florida Jen, and Tyler, who was out at Rogue Comic Con with the Walt's Apartment crew this weekend. So shout out to Tyler, shout out to the Walt's Apartment crew, and shout out to the best crew, the DU crew. Patreon.com/DU crew to find out how you can join and be a part of every episode, because you're always a part of our galaxy.
Yes, and don't forget to follow and join the group, Virtual Cantina. I'm about to golf, so
it happens. It's all good. Get out.
Sorry, that's a little choked up. No, I'm kidding. Virtual Cantina, Star Wars Celebration, Los Angeles 2027.
Very good. Yeah, that's right.
Right on.
It's a long one. I was leaving opening panel, changing the name of the group.
Oh, we noticed. We
were like, wait a minute, Spencer, no. I was literally leaving the main panel room. I changed the name before I even left the panel room.
Oh, yeah.
Have they announced the name already, or had they announced the location?
They announced the location. That's the last thing they do at Celebration. And I was sitting in the third row with our members. And as I'm walking to leave the building, I'm already on my phone changing the name and the graphic, because I already took a picture of the screen, of what the change was going to be. So
nice.
Yeah, because I know we're leaving, but yeah, when me and Courtney were watching the live stream, and once they announced it after our big giant cheer, I went to our Instagram to share it, and then I think she's like, Spencer already changed the name to the group, so it's awesome. So
you got to keep ahead of the curve, baby.
Absolutely. But thank you guys for watching. Yes, all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys next weekend. So may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
And calibrate your enthusiasm.
And long live the Republic.
Yes.